Believe in you. There is a quiet moment before every breakthrough, a moment most people miss because it doesn't shout, it whispers. It's the moment when doubt pauses, when the noise fades just enough for you to hear the truth you've been running from. You were never lacking ability, you were lacking belief. Not belief in the world, not belief in luck, belief in you. Because the most dangerous lie ever sold is that confidence comes after success. It doesn't. Success comes after belief has already decided the outcome. Every life that ever expanded beyond its limits began with a single internal rebellion, the refusal to accept the story that circumstances tried to write. Edison didn't wait for permission to believe he could light the world. Lincoln didn't wait for approval to believe a divided nation could be whole. Disney didn't wait for critics to believe imagination could build an empire. They believed first, when belief looked irrational, premature, even foolish. That's the kind of belief that changes trajectories. Belief is not arrogance. Belief is alignment. It is the moment your thoughts, your actions, and your standards finally agree on who you are becoming. Most people live fractured lives. They want more, but they act like less. They dream in private and doubt in public. They talk about potential while practicing hesitation. And every time they hesitate, belief erodes, not dramatically, but quietly, like rust on steel. You don't lose belief all at once. You leak it. You leak it every time you talk yourself out of action, every time you say someday instead of now, every time you betray your own word. And over time, the leak becomes an identity. But here's the truth no one teaches you early enough. Belief is not a personality trait, it is a practice. You build belief the same way you build muscle, through resistance, through repetition, through showing up when it would be easier not to. Belief grows when you keep promises to yourself, when you do the work even when no one is watching, when you choose discipline over drama, because discipline is belief made visible. This is where mindset stops being theory and becomes execution. A powerful mindset is not positive thinking, it is precise thinking. It is the ability to decide what you will focus on regardless of emotional weather. Your mind is a courtroom, and every day thoughts are on trial. Some thoughts argue for your limitations, others argue for your potential. Whichever side you keep listening to wins the case. Clarity comes when you stop letting random thoughts run the court and start acting like a judge. You question assumptions, you challenge inherited fears, you stop accepting opinions from people who haven't built the life you want. Clarity is ruthless, and clarity creates confidence. Confidence doesn't mean you know everything will work. It means you trust yourself to adapt when it doesn't. That trust is everything. Because life will test you. It always does. It will introduce delays, detours, rejection, and pressure, not to punish you, but to reveal whether your belief is conditional or anchored. Anchored belief does not panic under pressure. It adjusts. Vision is what anchors belief. Not vague hope, but a vivid inner picture of who you are committed to becoming. Vision gives belief a destination. Without it, belief has nowhere to go and eventually collapses into frustration. Vision is not about predicting the future, it's about deciding it. When Ford envisioned mass mobility, people laughed. When Carnegie envisioned scale, people doubted. When you envision more for yourself, resistance will appear, not because you're wrong, but because growth threatens the familiar. Resistance is confirmation you're moving forward. Purpose sharpens that vision. Purpose answers the question belief eventually asks, why am I enduring this? When purpose is clear, sacrifice feels temporary. When purpose is absent, even comfort feels heavy. Purpose doesn't always arrive as a grand revelation. Often it shows up as responsibility, the responsibility to use what you've been given, to develop your skills, to raise your standards, to stop playing small when you know better. Believing in you means accepting that responsibility fully.
and responsibility demands action. Action is the great separator. Ideas are cheap, intention is common, action is rare, because action exposes you to judgment, failure, and discomfort. But action is the only language belief understands. You don't wait to believe before you act until belief has no choice but to follow. This is the law that governs all transformation. And once action begins, something subtle happens inside you. Gratitude emerges, not as politeness, but as power. Gratitude stabilizes your nervous system. It reminds you that progress is happening even when perfection isn't. Gratitude keeps belief from becoming brittle. Because belief that is grateful stays flexible. It learns, it adapts, it grows wiser with every experience. It doesn't need to prove itself, it needs to express itself. Resilience is belief under stress, not the loud kind, but the quiet refusal to quit, the decision to learn instead of collapse, the choice to rise one more time than you fall. This is where belief matures. And as it matures, you begin to feel it, an internal shift, less noise, more certainty, less comparison, more focus, less fear of failing, more fear of staying the same. That fear, the fear of stagnation, is sacred, because it means you are awake. And once you are awake, believing in you is no longer optional, it is the only way forward. Because once you are awake, you start noticing things you used to tolerate without question. You notice how often you used to dim your voice to fit rooms that were never meant to hold your vision. You notice how many decisions you made out of fear of being judged rather than commitment to becoming better. You notice how much energy you wasted explaining yourself instead of building yourself. Awareness is uncomfortable, but it is also the doorway. Believing in you means you stop abandoning yourself to keep peace with the world. It means you choose alignment over approval, and that choice will cost you something. It will cost you relationships that only thrived on the smaller version of you. It will cost you habits that once felt safe but now feel suffocating. It will cost you the illusion that you can grow without friction. But what it gives you back is priceless. It gives you integrity. Integrity is when your inner standards and outer actions finally match. When what you say, what you think, and what you do stop arguing with each other. That internal harmony is where power lives. This is why discipline becomes non-negotiable at this stage. Not extreme discipline, aligned discipline. You stop asking, what do I feel like doing today? And start asking, what does the future version of me require right now? Discipline is not rigid, it is intentional. It removes decision fatigue, it creates momentum, it builds trust with yourself. And trust compounds faster than talent ever will. Look at history again, not through mythology, but through pattern. Edison tested thousands of filaments, not because he enjoyed failure, but because he trusted the process more than his emotions. Lincoln lost elections, businesses, and public favor, but he never lost faith in the mission. They weren't superhuman, they were committed. Committed people don't need motivation, they have structure. Structure frees belief from mood. This is where adaptability becomes critical. Belief is not stubbornness, it is responsiveness guided by values. When the plan breaks, you don't break, you adjust. You learn faster, you listen deeper, you separate feedback from identity. Failure stops being personal and starts being instructional. This is the mindset of builders. Builders don't panic when something collapses, they inspect the foundation. They ask better questions, they refine. And every refinement sharpens belief. Learning accelerates everything. The more you learn, the less fragile your confidence becomes. Fragile confidence needs validation. Grounded belief needs only progress. Progress, even slow progress, creates psychological safety. It reminds you that you are moving, and movement is life. Gratitude deepens here. Not gratitude for outcomes, but gratitude for capacity, for the ability to learn, to grow, to try again. Gratitude keeps belief from becoming entitled. It keeps you humble enough to improve and bold enough to lead. And leadership begins internally. You lead your thoughts, you lead your habits, you lead your reactions. Before anyone follows you, you must follow through on yourself. That is the real test. Because life will give you reasons to quit. It always does. Fatigue, delay, comparison, silence. Silence is the hardest one. When you're doing the work and no one notices, when progress is invisible, when belief is tested without applause. This is where most people fold. But this is also where belief becomes unbreakable. Because when you keep going without recognition, you prove something to yourself that no